Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you'd like to take your seats, please. I'm Terry McMahon. I am the president of Hodges University, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2012 Humanitarian Awards ceremony. At this time, I'm going to introduce Kimberly Presenzano. She is the Vice President and General Manager of CenturyLink. CenturyLink is our presenting sponsor today. They've been a great partner for many years. She will welcome you and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Kimberly?
Great. Thank you, Dr. McMahon. Welcome, everyone. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you would, please still stay standing. Sorry, should have given you a heads up there. As the invocation today will be led by Reverend Jim Kirk from the Moorings Presbyterian Church.
Thank you. With everybody standing, that'll be a reminder to keep it short. Keep it short. Nancy and Bill, I've been privileged to be with you on several occasions such as this, and I have to tell you, it never gets boring, never gets tiring to do that. Thank you. As a minister, one of the areas that I'm involved with is disaster ministry, and I came across an interesting article recently that talked about the distinct role of spirituality and religiosity in physical and mental health after traumatic events. And the study indicated that what I believe we in this room already know, the positive effect of faith on health and healing. I'd like to make a comment before we offer a word of blessing. I believe in miracles. I've witnessed miracles. I believe that the blind can receive sight, that the ill can receive a miraculous healing, that those in despair can receive a renewed mind, and I believe that these miracles can happen in a blink of an eye. But here's the comment. Is it any less a miracle when a hard-working family becomes aware of a serious illness and they're greeted with respect at the neighborhood health clinic and hear the words, "We have a cure"? Is it any less a miracle when someone teetering on the brink of despair finds hope through the ministry and the mission of the neighborhood health clinic? Or is it any less a miracle when a couple retiring to Naples forgoes the golf courses and the country clubs because they see a need around them? They recognize the multitudes in the community that did not have access to affordable, quality health care. They had compassion and led the charge to make a positive difference. Each of these and so many more examples are the miracles that happen every day in our midst. And I've said this before, and I'll say it yet again. Bill and Nancy, in addition to being great humanitarians, you are miracle workers every single day of your lives. Let us pray. Divine Creator, we gather this day to celebrate the gifts that are represented in this room, gifts of healing that have been honed through hard work and perseverance, and gifts which have been so graciously shared in such a way as to be a blessing to this community. Gracious Healer, we are created as people with bodies, but also with minds and spirits. So we acknowledge that those present focus on physical healing, yet we also affirm that through compassion and respect, desperate minds are renewed and broken spirits are mended. Abiding sacred presence in our lives, we welcome the healing that comes when your people break bread together and meet with common purpose. Continue to bless us so that we may be a blessing. Continue to inspire us to excel. Continue to nudge us to not only see, but to respond. For we offer our lives once again to your holy purpose, to seek to improve the lives of other people. For it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
You may be seated, please. Thank you, Reverend Kirk. As Dr. McMahon mentioned, I'm Kim Presenzano. I'm Acting Vice President and General Manager for CenturyLink here in Southwest Florida. On behalf of CenturyLink and the over 800 employees working here in the Southwest Florida area, we are so very proud to be here today to help honor two outstanding individuals and their contributions and commitments to their fellow man. CenturyLink has supported this event for over a decade, but this year it is our extreme pleasure to be the presenting sponsor for the 2012 Hodges University Humanitarian of the Year Award. When we choose organizations at CenturyLink to align with, we choose those organizations whose core values align with our unifying principles: fairness, honesty and integrity, commitment to excellence, faith, respect, a positive attitude, and perseverance. Those attributes absolutely apply to the honorees today. They also apply to Hodges University, and that's why the opportunity to be the presenting sponsor at the Humanitarian of the Year Award was a natural fit for CenturyLink. We are also very fortunate to share a strong business partnership with Hodges. Technology is ever evolving at a rapid pace, and CenturyLink partners with Hodges to keep the university at the cutting edge. By providing a fiber-based network that enables video conferencing, collaboration, and internet access, CenturyLink manages services so that Hodges can focus on what is truly important to them: education. Businesses across Southwest Florida can access the same cutting-edge technology that Hodges is using. We have a broad scope of offerings, from fiber-based IP services to cloud computing, hosting, hardware, and software. CenturyLink has thousands of miles of fiber optic cable blanketing Southwest Florida's neighborhoods, schools, and government agencies that prepare us with a broadband service to absolutely win in the 21st century. Recently, we leveraged our fiber-rich network to launch a new TV service in Southwest Florida. Prism TV offers an exciting alternative to cable, and we currently have well over 16,000 customers working in the area. We are very appreciative to our business partners, Hodges University, and to each and every consumer and residential customer. We appreciate the opportunity you provide to us to continue our growth in these communities. Nationally, we serve 37 states and are the third largest telecommunications provider in the country. But we continue to maintain a local focus and commitment to the individual communities that we serve. That commitment is something we take very seriously. In addition to sponsoring various civic and charitable endeavors, CenturyLink employees volunteer hundreds of hours throughout Southwest Florida annually. It is in that spirit that we are here today to recognize our honorees' contributions. Thank you again for allowing us to be part of this very special day. It is truly our honor and our privilege to share this with you. And now, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Nancy Wyant, Dean of the Johnson School of Business at Hodges University, to present this year's Founders Award.
Thank you, Kimberly. Before I begin my presentation, may I ask if there are any other Founders Awards from the past in the audience today? Let's give those folks a big round of applause. We think Hodges University is a very special place. And from time to time, we run across some very, very, very special people. And today, I'm here to tell you a little bit about Michelle Reed Spitzer. Michelle is not from Florida. She's from Champaign, Illinois. She moved to Florida around 1995, and she had some college in her background and wanted to finish her degree. It seemed natural that she came to Hodges University, and one of her first choices was to choose the management program with Dr. Jean Landrum as her professor. Well, Dr. Jean Landrum is another one of those very special people, and I could stand up here for about 10 minutes, maybe 20, and speak about your accolades, Jean. But suffice it to say, he's the guy who started Chuck E. Cheese. He's an entrepreneur. He's written so many books, so much background, been recognized so many times as a marketer and entrepreneur, that it seemed natural that he teach the marketing program that Michelle enrolled in. There was a connection. There was an instant connection. And one of the first assignments that Jean gave to Michelle and her classmates was to write a marketing plan for a business. Michelle had an idea for her own cleaning service, and she spent a lot of time with Dr. Landrum writing that plan. And lo and behold, it turned out to be Michelle's Classy Cleaning. It came to life. As it began, Michelle thought bigger and wider, and she had listened to the words of Dr. Landrum and wanted to have more and more options, a larger business. And although she was pregnant with her first child, and she knew nothing about MaidPro, she went to New York for a meeting where she bought her first franchise for $1, which was quite remarkable. Since then, Michelle's business has grown. She now has 3 children. I'm going to get the names wrong if I don't do it correctly. Zoe. Please stand up, Zoe. Zoe is a soccer whiz, by the way. Kyla, who is 8. Kyla, please stand up. And Tyler, who is 6. Michelle says that her children are her inspiration, and they have fueled her desire to be bigger and better and to do great things to set a great example for them. And hopefully they'll move on to be Hodges graduates as time goes by. Well, Michelle has businesses in Lee County, in Collier County, and has plans for further expansion. She is someone who is exactly the type of person that we would want to have as a Hodges graduate. She has truly represented Hodges University above and beyond any expectations we might have had for her. And you just can't imagine how proud we are of you, Michelle, and all your accomplishments. So it's with a great deal of pride and admiration and being thankful for playing such a small part in your development that we award you the Founders Award.
Wow. I told myself I was not going to do this. I was not going to tear up, but with my children present, I lost it. But I remember I moved to Florida. I told my mom I wanted to start to clean houses. She said, "Oh my gosh, Michelle, are you crazy? You had the world's messiest bedroom growing up as a teenager," and she was right. I was a little crazy. Thank you, Dr. Jean Landrum. You were my inspiration and my mentor. But I want to first have my parents stand. If it wasn't for part of their journey and me following them here, none of this would have been possible. So please, Mom and Dad, please stand. I learned a lot from them. They are entrepreneurs, and I worked in their family business all my life. Did everything from the old-fashioned accounting general ledgers to laying sod to painting, everything, answering phones. But when I enrolled in Hodges, I started with $300 to buy my liability insurance, a mop bucket, and a book. The book was called Speed Cleaning 101, so I taught myself how to clean. I quickly grew very quick. I had lots of referrals. I used to dispatch my service providers out of the Winn-Dixie parking lot on Immokalee Road, which is now an NCH building. I remember my very first cleaning job. It was an old, abandoned convenient mart. I thought I knew what I was doing. I bid $75 whopping dollars. I had my sister-in-law join me. We packed my little Toyota black Celica convertible filled with mops and buckets and rags, and we were so excited for our first job. 40-some man-hours later, I knew I seriously underbid the job. Needless to say, we finished. I completed the work. I went to go get paid, and they didn't want to pay me. They wanted me to clean their windows, too. Can you believe it? Well, I didn't know what else to do but cry. I got my money. My sister-in-law quit, but I pursued on. I treated it as an invaluable learning experience. Isn't that true, Dr. Jean Landrum? You learn from your greatest mistakes. So he taught me to think big and continue. Well, to keep it short, later on, in 1999, I had quite a business going. I had an opportunity. I received a postcard in the mail, and it says, "Look who's coming to town." So my competitive nature took over, and I couldn't resist. I was going to secret shop them. How dare they invade my territory? So I made a call. Needless to say, it was a Made Pro franchisor, brand new, soliciting existing cleaning companies to convert. I was 3 months pregnant with Zoe. I knew I wanted to take things to the next level. I had already made enough mistakes on my own. So I decided, even though I was pregnant, most people would have made it the reason not to. I made it my reason why. So I traveled to Boston. I pretended like I wasn't pregnant. I tried to hide it with a black dress. Didn't work. But they were polite and didn't say anything. So they accepted me. I paid $1 to make it legal. They worked very closely with me, Mark and Richard out of Boston. They came down here every single month, and we made a list. I have my book today. We wrote a list of things that worked, that didn't work, what we're going to try, what we're not going to try. And together we established the best practices that Made Pro National Corporate uses nationwide, and they have almost 150 franchises nationwide. I quickly grew to the #1 status in revenue, achieving almost $3 million annual in sales. Yes, I survived the recession. I did have to resize, but that just made me stronger, and that will allow us to rebound even faster with future plans into Sarasota and beyond. And I truly, Dr. Landrum, my mentor, will you please stand? I love you. Thank you for teaching me to think big, as its possibilities are endless. And I am Michelle Spitzer, a truly proud Hodges University graduate. Thank you.
I'll give you a hug. Good job. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. See, when I greeted you earlier, it was good morning. Now it's good afternoon. So, again, I'm Terry McMahon, president of Hodges University, and I'd like to welcome all of you here today. It's a very special occasion for us, and there are some people in the audience I would like to recognize before we get started with the presentation. Very pleased to have Mayor John Sorey and City Councilman Sam Saad here. Would you please stand and be recognized? I know Sheriff Rambos and Chief Sally are here. Please stand up as well. Again, I'd like to thank Kimberly and CenturyLink for all that they've done for Hodges University and being our presenting sponsor. They do provide the data and phone service for our institution and do a great job, and very pleased to have you on board. I'd like to recognize our namesakes, Earl and Thelma Hodges. Please stand. Sheriff Rambos, Earl wants to know if you found the guy that's beat him up yet. Well, you didn't look. You should just look a little closer, right, Thelma? I'd like to recognize some of the trustees and foundation board members. I'm just going to announce their names, and please stand to be recognized. Michael Prioletti, Joe Donahue, I know Andrea Brock's here for Randy Brock, Fred Nerone, Terry Flynn, Lyle Gaynor, Earl Hodges, Jerry Nichols, and Peter Thomas. There's our trustees and foundation members. Thank you all. And I know we have a ton of President's Council members in the room. Would all of my President's Council members please stand to be recognized? Thank you. We have past humanitarians here. In 1997, Laverne Gaynor. Well, 1998, Myra Daniels. Myra. In 1999, Jack Humphrey is here, and standing in for Jack is Sarah Jane Humphrey. Sarah Jane. Again, Earl Hodges in 2001. Peter Thomas in 2004. I know Peter and Stella are here. And Peter, thank you again. Peter does the narration for the video that you're going to see in a few moments. He always does a wonderful job. In 2006, Michael Watkins and Ellen Getz. And Michael, thank you for the Naples Beach Hotel. In 2008, Jerry Nichols and the late Arlene Nichols, and Jerry's here today. They are also the namesakes for the Nichols School of Professional Studies. In 2009, Terry and Christine Flynn. In 2010, I know Judy Sproul and Jennifer Sutherland are here. I don't think Katie is here today, but please stand. And last year's recipient, Dolph and Sharon Von Arks. Please stand. Thank you all very much. I would like to present two things to the Lashides at this time. Representative Kathleen Pasadomo prepared a beautiful proclamation from the House. She couldn't be with you today, but she sends this proclamation, and I'm gonna bring it down to you. And then Nina Gray, I believe you have a little presentation you're going to make to Nancy. No puppy. Thank you, Nina. And at this time, I would like to bring to the podium Dr. Robert Tober, who will provide some testimony here today.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to be able to say a few words about Nancy and Dr. William Lashide. I've known them since 1978. Dr. Lashide was my dermatologist at one time, and his wife Nancy held me down while he worked on me. After they retired, much of that due to my screaming in the office when I was being one of their patients, they relaxed for about, I think, an hour before they started working on this concept of the neighborhood health clinic. And I was privileged, along with a few other doctors, to be one of their earliest volunteers in this endeavor. Dr. Lashide has been the medical director at the neighborhood clinic since its inception. I still consider him the medical director. He's there most clinics. His expertise is still valued on a daily basis. And if he is not there, probably the next best dermatologist in town is his wife, who was by his side for so many years. Excuse me. I also want to thank Dr. George Ferguson for loaning me his glasses, because I can't see a thing that I wrote down here at all. I think we're all motivated and gathered here today to recognize what these two people have done. And what they really did was close a critical deal that affects all of our lives, and that is taking care of the health and well-being of many, many people who make our lives better. People who cook our food, clean our dishes, cut our lawn, build our homes, clean our hotels and motels, and I see these people every week, and they are spectacularly grateful for what we do for them. Every once in a while, we discover a dreaded cancer in somebody and intercept that cancer at an early stage so that we save their life, and all of this is due to what the Lashides did when they first started this system. Now, how many years ago has it been, Nancy? 13 years ago. Working with the Lashides is inspiring in so many ways, not only work ethic, not only competence, but the setting that they create in our own clinic system. They've created a community within a community. Many people that have come and visited our center have asked me, how can they do this in their own town or their own state? And I said, it's very easy. First you clone the Lashides, and the rest is downhill. And the reason for that is that when Nancy Lashide asks you for something or asks you to do something, absolutely nobody ever says no. I don't remember one time that that's happened, and in the unlikely circumstance that it did, she's got this secret weapon called William Lashide, who can take steel and turn it into mashed potatoes. So if she doesn't get the yes, he absolutely does. Anyway, I think that we are pressed to recall any endeavor that has had a more positive impact on the lives in our community. Everyone sitting here today in this community thanks both of you for the brilliant point of light that you have beamed from this county and shown the country, if not the world, what can be done with dogged determination and relentless spirit. And I'm but one of hundreds that are congratulating you for this honor today. Thank you.
Dr. Lashide was also my dermatologist when I came into town. And Nancy is a Leadership Collier classmate of mine, although I won't tell any of those stories, Nancy. It is my pleasure at this time to show you a video presentation of the Lashides.
Since 1997, Hodges University has recognized individuals who demonstrate a strong and lasting commitment to public service in our community. They are honored with the title of Humanitarian of the Year. These honorees enrich the community in a variety of ways, but each is a pioneer in his or her own right, forging ahead to create a better tomorrow. But in order to create a better tomorrow, one must first be aware of the problems of today.
In all of this beauty and all of this splendor, there was a deep sadness, and that was the faceless community. And the faceless community are the low-income workers.
And I thought, it's it. Life is ending. No light, no sun, no nothing.
I'd just come back from North Carolina. I'd lost a son there, and when I came back to from North Carolina, my job was no longer available. I no longer was covered by health care, and I had some medical issues that needed to be addressed.
They have nowhere else to turn. They can't afford to buy medications that are prescribed for them. They can't afford to pay the fee to go and see a doctor.
The first day of our retirement, Bill was very pensive and contemplative. And when I said, what are you feeling? It's the first day of our retirement. How exciting is this? His comment was that he was being crushed by his silence, that we knew too much about the working poor in Collier County. We knew too much about their need. We had a pretty good idea how to get help for them, and we needed to address it immediately, and that's the genesis of the Neighborhood Health Clinic.
As a young boy, Bill already knew that he wanted to go into medicine, but because he came from a modest background, it would take the horrors of war to make his dream become a reality.
Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941. I was a junior in high school. And obviously, everybody was joining the service. And I decided as soon as I got out of high school, I would join the service.
But by the time Bill graduated, the government had begun a program that would allow him to attend both college and medical school under the agreement that he would later serve in the Navy. He was the youngest student in his class the University of Pittsburgh had ever seen. When he completed his education, he was assigned to a Marine division in Korea. When he came back from overseas, Bill returned to Pennsylvania to work as a family practitioner. One day, he got a phone call that would change his life.
I was called to make a house call in a neighboring community. And when I went over, and who answered the door but this beautiful lady?
This beautiful lady was named Nancy. She was the oldest of 2 children. Her younger sister was the one who was sick. Nancy was attending college on scholarship, training to become a nurse. Bill gave Nancy's sister a shot of penicillin and left. But he couldn't get Nancy out of his mind.
Called a couple hours later, how's your sister doing? And she said, oh, you know, my sister's about the same. But I said, well, I'll be back tomorrow to give her another shot of penicillin, which I did. And in the meantime, I told my mother and father that evening, I think I met the lady that I would like to marry. And obviously it was love at first sight. And when I went back to make the house call the next time, I invited her out to dinner, and that was it.
It seems only appropriate that these 2 young people would dedicate themselves to each other because they also would dedicate their lives to medicine. And with equal fervor, the newlyweds would dedicate themselves to another cause.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
You mean like the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Oh.
Yes, a fierce love for the Pittsburgh Steelers would unite the Lescheid family.
Ask us anything. You want stats? We can give you stats.
Black and yellow.
In 1982, Bill and Nancy would move to Naples after falling in love with the area on a vacation. Bill began a dermatology practice, and Nancy served as his office nurse. But the Lescheids quickly became aware of a problem in Collier County, the plight of the working poor. The working poor lacked any sort of option for long-term care and flooded the emergency rooms because there they could not be denied care even if they could not pay. It was this knowledge that would drive Bill on the first day of his retirement to formulate a plan with Nancy.
We took a tablet out and put it on the kitchen table and started writing the plan for the neighborhood health clinic. It took 3 pots of coffee and a lot of bartering back and forth, this, that, and the other thing. But in the meantime, we filled a legal pad with ideas, and those ideas, tweaked a little bit, became the genesis of the neighborhood health clinic.
With their plan in place, Bill and Nancy began asking for help.
When we started the neighborhood health clinic, obviously we knew that we would need a lot of help from the local physicians. Fortunately, at that point, I knew virtually every practicing physician in Collier County.
We made a list of occupations that we would need to bring this to completion. We called the first name under each of those occupations, invited them to our home, showed them the plan. It was on January the 17th of 1999, told them what we wanted to do. Everybody said, count me in.
They were so dedicated that it was contagious, and I joined in.
But an operation as big as the clinic needed lots of volunteers. With the help of the Naples Daily News, Bill and Nancy reached out to the community. And what happened next was totally unexpected.
We were going to have a volunteer orientation on a Saturday morning. We booked a room on the second floor at Grand Central Station, stopped on our way in, bought a little pitcher of coffee, dozen donuts, thinking, hope somebody shows up. We got there and people were lined up on the second floor, down the stairs, along the hallway, and out into the driveway. First reaction, Bill, they double booked the room. Only to discover that wasn't true. These were people who came and said, like the idea, what can we do to help you?
Nina Gray wasn't sure how she could help when she first volunteered.
Since I'm not a doctor or a nurse, I wasn't sure that they would have a volunteer job I could do. And Nancy Leschide immediately put me to work doing some fundraising and grant writing, public speaking, and just general outreach.
The clinic first opened its doors the night of April 12, 1999 in the old Grand Central Station complex on Goodlet Frank Road. Volunteers had placed handbills advertising the clinic's services at laundromats, gas stations, and in church bulletins. 8 patients walked through the door that night. One of them was a man named David.
And David worked as a dishwasher in a little restaurant that was near our clinic in the strip mall. David came in limping. We discovered that David had post-polio syndrome, young man with serious health issues who was alone. When Bill and I got home that night, I cried. I cried because I was feeling overwhelmed about the scope of service that was going to be needed. I cried because of the sadness about David. We took care of David for years. He died a few years ago. David is burned in my heart. And there are many Davids at the neighborhood health clinic. And that's the motivation that on very long, tiring days, we know that the next day there's going to be a David there again, and we need to keep going.
The clinic receives no money from the government. It operates solely on the generosity of individuals and donations from foundations and the United Way. Over the years, donations from many different sources have kept the clinic running. In 2003, the clinic moved into a brand new state-of-the-art facility. Today, the clinic is open to patients 3 times a week, and between 70 and 90 patients are seen at each session. The clinic now provides 7 different education programs to its patients and offers 12 different specialty care clinics. The neighborhood health clinic also partners with local hospitals to help provide the best care possible for their patients. The clinic has been life-changing for many of its patients, but the Leschides have also seen its impact on their lives.
This is why I am here. This is why Bill and I were called to this. This is why we were educated to do this.
You know, as Yogi Berra once said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it, you know. So we all have to have those times when you come to that fork in the road. And the important thing is that you go in the right direction.
For their insight, their dedication to helping those in need, and for their deep compassion, Hodges University would like to recognize Bill and Nancy Leschide as Hodges University's 2012 Humanitarians of the Year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the 2012 Humanitarians of the Year, Bill and Nancy Leschide.
you'd like us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce my wife, Nancy.
That's actually better than a presentation we did a few months ago where he thanked everybody and then said, "I'd like to introduce you to my wife, the mouth." I am. Thank you, Hodges University. Thank you, Terry. Thank you to the alumni for bestowing this honor upon us. There are many volunteers, there are many donors, there are many participants in this room who have taken a vision that two people had and made it a reality. I'm only going to comment on one thing because those of you who know us personally know that I am particularly proud of my Irish heritage. And there's an Irish proverb, and I wrote it down because I figured I'd be so emotional I might blow it. And it is this: it is in the shelter of each other that people are nurtured. There are many people in this community who need nurturing. The neighborhood health clinic is a shelter. And there are many people in this room who are actually nurturers. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite to the podium for the closing remarks last year's Humanitarians of the Year, Dolph and Sharon Von Ark.
Probably not a surprise. Those Shides were our doctors. When you move to sunny Florida, the first thing you do after you have a place to live is look for a dermatologist. And they were great. I'll tell you one quick funny story. Happened probably 17 years ago. 15, yeah. 15. The Shides invited us over for a dinner. They had probably 25, 30 people there, beautifully set up out on their terrace. And we had one of those Florida rains that are unpredictable. Just a torrential downpour. Everybody was grabbing plates and food and rushing inside, but it wasn't over. The power went out. So I don't know how they did it, but they had candles set up all over, and it was a wonderful, wonderful dinner party, and I'll never forget it.
Well, Nancy was a trauma nurse. She could handle anything. I'll just very quickly state there are many people in this room who have been tremendous supporters. The Foglos, who were our farmer neighbors in Park Shore, and many others, too numerous to mention. But I will mention one thing. Very early on, when I chaired the hospital, and Ed Martin was our CEO, Ed came to me and said, "We need to help the Lashides." So we set up a $1 a year lease for a number of years until they moved into their own facility, and it was an immediate success. It was the old Grand Central station, and it was amazing. And that's really a tribute to your ingenuity, because someone named Nancy really struck a good deal. You're very deserving, and we just feel proud and honored to be your friends.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. I'd like to thank Phil Memley and Alyssa DeLora for putting this event on for us, and I bid you all a good afternoon.